What is integrity? Integrity is being on the inside what you appear to be on the outside. Now, this doesn't mean that a person of integrity is a person who is perfect. It doesn't mean that, not all hypocrites are not imperfect people. Somebody once said, Bismarck, or we'll blame it on Churchill. Churchill gets all the quotes nobody else has taken credit for. That with regard to integrity, that we have to be seamless, and that a hypocrite is a person, hypocrisy itself is the homage that vice pays to virtue. Think about that. The homage that vice pays to virtue is what hypocrisy is, so that even hypocrites are saying there is a standard. But a person of integrity is not a perfect person. They're attempting to be perfect, and they live a seamless life so that there's no great surprise if you discover something about a person. You may have seen them. So one of the first qualities of leadership, it seems to me, is that you are seamless. Not that you have to disclose everything to everyone at all times and in all places, but that there is a consistency in your life, a real authenticity, a consistency. The second thing I would say that's necessary for good leadership is a passion. It's, I suppose, easier to be somewhat passionate when one is younger. I know that one of the great traits of youth is that sense of idealism. And somehow it gets worn away over the years because you see things that you didn't think were there. Maybe you've seen people who are not people of integrity, people who you respected. And somehow that seeps like an acid into our souls and can sap us of this sense of passion, which is so energizing. I dread the possibility that young people will settle for mediocrity. And that's so easy to do. Especially if you're bright and you can kind of get away with things because you're glib in your manner and you don't have to study quite as hard as maybe somebody else. You don't need to really finish what you're doing because the appearance of it will look like you finished it. But you know in yourself, and the problem over time is that it saps your passion. You begin to settle for mediocrity. And once you begin to sap your passion, your energy begins to dissipate. You yourself as a person no longer attract the kind of relationships, the kind of trust and enthusiasm for a cause, for a project that you're involved in. I think it's St. John Chrysostom, one of the fathers of the church, one of the Greek fathers of the church, said that there's nothing worse, nothing colder than the heart of a Christian who no longer cares for the souls of other people. And so often, even in religious leadership, there's a kind of coldness, a drabness, that rests simply on formality, that rests simply on ritual. I'm a great believer in ritual. In these next 3 days, I'm going to be involved in some of the most ancient Christian rituals in the world. In these 3 days we call the Triduum. But ritual, or liturgy as we call it, the public work of the church, must always be a belief that is put into action. And if one exercises that kind of presidential role as a leader of prayer in the liturgy of the church, but doesn't have the passion for what one believes, it comes across. It's seen. It's amazing how two people can say the same things, and one can bore you to sleep, and the other can enthuse you and inspire you. And without that passion, without something that you are willing to die for, literally, you lack something to live for. The great fad of this particular moment in our history, in many respects, is this desire to have all your options open at all times. People mistake having lots of options with having freedom. And you see this when you call a person on the phone and ask them if they want to come over for dinner next weekend, and they are kind of hesitant and say, let me let you know. And you have this sense that they're waiting to see if they can get a better offer, right? Because people think the more options they have. But you know, the truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, if you have 1,000 options and you haven't exercised any of them, what have you got? Just options. But if at the end of the day you make a choice from among your options, a choice that demands your all, to which you will commit yourself, to which you will give your passion, that will vivify you, that will inspire you, that will cost you, then you have a mission, not just a set of options. For many of you, for most of you probably, this will occur when you find that right person whom you love, and you relinquish all other options, and you marry that one person for life, and you commit yourself to that. And that makes the exercise of your liberty mean something, because liberty without a proper end is an empty vacuum. So in addition to integrity and to passion, I think there's also, and this I suspect this is the stage many of you are in, this is formation. Because we come into this world with this great potential, but there has to be some formation that takes place. What will we do with this potential? And I was looking at the screen and I saw one of the quotations from Ralph Hauenstein, where he says that he has witnessed, and if you know his life, you know this is true, he's witnessed some of the worst leadership in the world. What leadership can do when it's driven by evil. So these are people who are malformed, who did not take into themselves an understanding of their own being, their own essence, their destiny, what they can do, and the good that they need to do, and the sacrifice that's required. So the formation takes place not just, though primarily in your family, not just in your educational process, but more fundamentally, it takes place in your own soul. Because you can have all of this stuff poured over you, but until you take it and own it yourself. The great frustration I always had in school when I was writing a paper, you know, I've forgotten now even the name, but was it Wheelock? Not Wheelock's, that's the Latin text, but the text that, it was a little orange book that told you how to write a paper. I've forgotten the name of it.
Turabian.
Turabian. No, this is before Turabian. Turabian came later. It's a little column. Struck and White came later too. I'm sorry, I'm a little older than you think.
Warner's.
Maybe Warner's. It tells you how to write a paper, you know, how to research and write and outline and the whole thing. Well, I would do all of this, and I've done all of the research, and I outlined everything, and I had my index cards. You know what index cards are? And my thing was I'd always write the paper out first, then I would start typing it, you know, and this is the way I did it. But I come to that penultimate moment where I'd done all of the work, and I didn't want to finish. Well, now I've got to type this thing and go. But that's the point at which you internalize the thing. And that's the formation that I'm speaking about. That you take what is given, what you see in the lives of others, what you read in literature, and one of the great elements of human formation is to read the history of great people, of great men and great women, who have lived, who have faced challenges, who themselves have made sacrifices, and then to internalize that and to ask yourself where in your life this can fit. So the formation piece, again, I can see now as I'm speaking about this, because I didn't write a text, I didn't take that last step to write the text of everything I was going to say, just what I said. In addition to integrity and to passion, this element of formation is indispensable, because part of what you are integrating into yourself are these external things. That's what I mean by formation.